to the Retail Tech Podcast. This is your host, Darius Wasafi, and today I'm speaking with Danny Govberg, the founder and CEO of a company called WatchBox. But first, I want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Products Up. When you run an online commerce business, you want to get your products into as many distribution channels as possible. But managing all of your product catalog details into every one of your channels is a lot of work and can be mistake prone if it's manual. That's why Products Up has come up with a product content network that connects data between manufacturers, retailers, third-party data suppliers, marketing, retail, and shopping channels from around the globe. Using the Products Up platform, you can quickly and easily understand and transfer your product content to anywhere it needs to be. Over 1,500 integrations through direct APIs and bridges with channels like Google, Amazon, eBay, and more. Check out how it works at productsup.io. That's productsup.io. How are you today, Danny?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Thank you for joining the podcast. You've been in the jewelry and watch business for a long time, yourself and your family, and this is a new adventure that you've started. What is WatchBox about, and how did you decide to even start it?
My family's been in the business for about 101 years, but but we call ourselves a 101-year-old startup. But about 10 years ago now, I can't believe it's been 10 years, I started to see the writing on the wall where e-commerce, and I saw the journey, where the customer's journey for learning in the beginning of the process for what they want to purchase was changing from the store of education to online for education. And that's really gone wild, especially in the last 3, 4, 5 years. So basically, what we've done is we were always in the pre-owned watch business, and we were always in the new watch business. So WatchBox is really taking the pre-owned watch business outside of just the new watch business as a combination, because new watches as of today, you can't really market and sell all over the world because of territorial reasons, supply reasons. But when it comes to the pre-owned space, you're able to create a global marketplace. And that's when we decided to take our pre-owned business, reclassify it, rebrand it as WatchBox, to become a standard in the watch industry for the white glove service and transparency of the timepieces we're selling. Sort of like if you go and you buy a Mercedes at Mercedes, there's a set of standards in the pre-owned Mercedes business that you get when you buy a pre-owned Mercedes from Mercedes. Then you don't necessarily get if you buy a pre-owned Mercedes from just a normal car dealer. So we wanted to become the preeminent pre-owned watch dealer in the world.
Right. Okay. So I understand the point you made about, when working with the brand new watch brands, there are a lot of other limitations like channel conflicts and controls that they put in place. Are those all pretty much? Are there no? I mean, I'm sure there's probably still like trademark issues that you have to watch out for, even in a pre-owned business, right?
In the pre-owned business, there are, but as long as we're selling authentic product, which is what we do, there's not a big an issue.
Okay. Right.
And what really happened was, like I said, the journey begins now online. So we basically run our business on 4 principles. Principle one starts with trust. We have to establish trust. 2, we put the savings of time into our business model. And 3, we think local, but we think global, but we also think global and we think local. So how that breaks down is we make our investments into 4 categories. Category 1 is luxury commerce, I call it. And what luxury commerce is, it's everything that a company does that starts to educate the consumer about your services or your product before they get to your website. So for instance, with us, it could be our PPC campaign, pay-per-click. It could be our WatchBox app. It could be our YouTube channel. It could be Instagram, Facebook. Anything that we do to educate the customer to begin the journey of trust before they get to our website, because most of the time that journey begins online. So we've got a very active investment criteria for investing in what I call education commerce almost. That moves on to e-commerce. And what e-commerce is, it's your website. And the two are connected because you do learn on your website. You do get to learn more about our product. You do get to click and buy, especially on the pre-owned part if you want to. And you get to get a better feel of who we are, be it our inventory, be it articles that have been written about us, videos about us. So you get to learn more about us, but e-commerce is the second level of the game of trust establishment that we set out for.
Okay.
Okay. We then do everything in our power to get you from the website to what I call our personal commerce. That's the third plank out of the four. And what personal commerce is, it's the plain old simple telephone call. So what we find, especially in luxury, be it sales of $2,000 and up, but our average sales running around $10,000. But be it in that price point, especially when you get into $10,000 and up, people are hesitant still to click and buy because they just want to ask some questions. They want to know, when is it going to be dropped off? What if it's not exactly what I want? They just have some basic fundamental questions many times that they'd like to talk to a human and not just click and buy. So what we find is that when they call us, we try to reduce or limit the friction that they have in the purchase. So as soon as you call us, you get connected to somebody within seconds that is ready to buy your watch or sell you a watch or do a trade or sell you a new watch if you'd like, or sell you a pre-owned watch. So we make it very, very easy for the customer to do business with us. And once you get to what I call the personal commerce level, you're already 90% of the time have been able to establish a trust that the guy is ready to do business with you or the young lady is ready to do business with you.
Okay.
That leads to what I call personal touch, which is the last of the planks. What personal touch is, it's brick and mortar, but brick and mortar's changed in luxury because today, if you meet somebody at a trade show, an airplane, you meet somebody on vacation, you meet somebody, you take somebody to an event, you take people to Switzerland to see a watch manufacturer, for instance. As long as you've had a personal communication with them in a way of one-on-one, they're in your presence, and you have started to form the last, what I call level of trust, and that is a one-on-one meeting with that person. Because those can last for years once you've met somebody even once. And by us, what we've really tried to do is realize that many companies don't invest properly before they get to the website. And many people don't invest properly between the website and the store, which is the telephone. And then many people that do invest in the telephone, they're outsourcing that to either a foreign country or they're outsourcing it to a concierge desk where the people really aren't there to transact or to do business. They're there to just sort of appease the customer if the customer really wants to talk to somebody, because most e-commerce websites don't really want you calling them.
Okay.
And we've taken the opposite approach to that.
Okay. Okay, great. So I have a couple of questions, follow-ups from what you said. The second point that you mentioned was building the saving of time into your business model. What does that mean?
Okay. So what that means is the number one luxury today is time. Nobody has any, or many people don't have enough because we're connected all the time. So what we've tried to do is we've tried to say at every point of what I just discussed with you, if somebody wants to learn and they want to learn at 2 o'clock in the morning, they should be able to go online and learn about product and learn about your company when they want to. Then, if they do go to your website, they should be able to click and buy and transact business if they don't want to speak to somebody, because they know exactly what they want, they already trust you, and they're willing to do business with you. You should be able to give them that option. Third, if they don't want to buy from you on your website, but they need that 15-minute conversation, you don't want to have to connect them to 5 different departments. You don't want to have somebody on the phone that's not educated. You want to be able to give them somebody who they feel comfortable with, that they can tell right away has a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, and that person can take them, on the journey of making a fine watch purchase.
Okay.
And then, of course, if they want to come into the store and they want that experience and they want to sit for an hour, of course they can. But when I say the savings of time, you should be able to learn when you want. You should be able to purchase when you want. You should be able to call when you want.
Right. Okay, so basically these are principles that you've used to build the different parts of the touch points with the customer.
Correct.
Okay. Now, I mean, there's definitely no disputing the fact that time is like the most sought after thing in everybody's life. Even if somebody's doing only one thing, they are overwhelmed. And, the president of the US is also overwhelmed, and, so time is definitely a really very valuable commodity. And that's like one of the reasons that many people are not even going to the store, and they don't even want to talk to somebody. And it's not the same for every product, of course. The different products are, different. This is a high touch product. And what it reminds me almost is of almost like the Blue Nile model, like when people are buying diamonds online. So what are you finding as far as like the return on investment of the high touch and actually talking with people in customer satisfaction as well as the business KPIs that you keep track of?
Well, number one, if you talk to a customer, you can you develop what I call that third level of trust, meaning you definitely have a better trust than, in my opinion, especially in luxury. I'm not going to say that this holds true if I was buying something for $100. Okay, if I'm buying a book, I can trust Amazon just as much as I could trust somebody if I was speaking to them on the telephone. If you're buying something for $10,000 to $50,000, though, I believe by speaking to somebody, you form a little bit better connection. 2, many times it's much better for us to get referrals from people that we've actually spoken to. 3, we're also able to obtain other data from that customer when you're speaking to them that lets you build even a better bond with them in the future. So as an example, if somebody's buying a very expensive Rolex, many times it's not the first watch that they've ever purchased. So when you can find out what else they own, just in that simple phone call, it gives you a reason to go back and speak to them in the future. Would they be willing to trade it? Is there anything else that they have that they own that they'd like to sell? So that by I call it know your watch, know your customer. By knowing your customer and knowing what they have, it just gives you a much, much better opportunity to form the trust, and it actually saves the customer time too.
Right. Okay. Now, you mentioned brick and mortar stores. Are you actually planning on opening up more locations, like physical locations in different cities, or are you talking about the current location?
Well, I believe that brick and mortar is a huge piece of the future. It's just going to be different. So we may open up, open up what I call pods in certain cities. We may open up what I would call almost education centers, where we would have much smaller amounts of inventory. However, a customer could come in and pick up the product at that location. They could come in and sell their watch at that location or trade their watch to that location. But I believe brick and mortar is becoming much more as an educational center in luxury than it is a place that you have to purchase luxury.
Right. But you are planning to open up actually more of these locations, actually?
Yes, but what we're doing is we're expanding internationally first. So we're opened in Hong Kong. We're opening this month in Neuchâtel, Switzerland, and we're looking at present to open this year in Singapore. So we're going for a more international footprint this year than opening more stores within the United States this year.
Okay. What's the makeup of the global like market actually? Is the US like really the lion's share of the business, or is it
No,
outside the US?
the U.S. is a very developed market in pre-owned, but so is Europe, is very developed. The Japanese market is very, very developed as well. What you're finding is it's beginning to become developed in Hong Kong. Well, in Hong Kong already has a robust pre-owned market, but China is beginning, and the Middle East is about to begin, because there's a huge desire in those markets for people to be able to sell their timepieces with transparency. So right now, those markets are not buying as much, but those markets would like to sell. In the States, in the United States, people are buying pre-owned timepieces, but they're also selling pre-owned timepieces. Same in Europe, same in London, same in Japan.
Okay. Now let's talk about the technology a little bit. How many different touch points do you have for customers to get in touch with you? App, website?
Well, we have our website, the phones, our app, of course, Instagram and Facebook pages. We have a very, very built out YouTube channel. We have studios. There'll be one in Switzerland. There's a studio here in Philadelphia. It's a full-fledged studio where we put on nightly shows. And we also do, on average, about 10 watch reviews a day, about 50 to 60 a week. So now we have a library of 3,000 to 4,000 videos that people can go to also to be educated about their timepieces.
Right. I saw your YouTube channel, and it looks pretty nice. The quality of the videos are really good. There are a few other companies that are also doing this. This tells about the power of the video, even recorded video. Are you measuring conversion from YouTube to actually the sales?
We measure everything. So measurement is the backbone of what we do. So, for instance, if you call us on the phone, it comes in under a certain phone number. We know exactly, what ad was clicked on for that phone call. If you come through YouTube, we know you came through YouTube. If you're coming through our app, of course we know you're coming through our app. And then we then figure out what the conversion rate is, and the cost of what the productions are. So pretty much everything we do is being measured.
Right. Which is, yeah, data is gold in the business. So that's good. I guess I'll say it in a different way. Can you share what the conversion ratio is like from YouTube to actual making sales on the website?
Okay, well, YouTube, let's look at it this way. On our reviews that we do, the reviews generate a tremendous amount of sales. It's hard to track the actual YouTube channel because it's repeat customers. It's more entertainment. What we do is we track how people have come to us. And it's not a conversion rate like a PPC ad would be, a pay-per-click ad, where you're actually monitoring how much you spend for every person that hits the website, for every phone call you get, to every transaction you make. YouTube is more like, it's also branding. You're branding yourself. And then, of course, people call and say, I saw your show. I'd like to get that watch. But sometimes that doesn't happen every day. It happens over time.
Right. No, I mean, I definitely believe in the value of that. And I mean, other than just the brand itself, I think your point also about really putting a face behind, this company that I'm going to be working with and investing so much money with. I mean, that makes a big difference.
And
Yeah.
the one thing that we do very different than most companies, our traders or our what I call watch advisors, they're the actual talent on the shows. So when people are doing their shows, they start to get followings that are tied to their Instagram accounts, and which is tied to, it's tied to their sales. So what happens is, as they do more shows and they get more followers, people have a lot more trust in them because they're watching them either on one of their devices or they're watching them on a smart TV. So it gives our watch advisors tremendous credibility.
Right. Yes, that makes a big difference. So, but you did mention that when you have a review on a specific watch, it actually does result in sales.
Oh, many sales. So for instance, with us, don't forget, a watch review doesn't die. So they're hard to do.
Right.
They're very hard to do if you do one because you need expertise, you need the equipment. But at the end, we've got 3,000 watch reviews or more. So what happens is every time we receive one of those models, SEO picks up the review because Google would much rather have a video of a model that somebody types in than if it's just the written content. So video is very powerful when it comes to SEO. Also, it lives on our website so that when we show that product, if somebody would like to see a 5-minute review of it, more and more of our watches have had those reviews. Once we hit about 10,000 reviews, that'll constitute 80% of the purchases, for sure. And also what you find with reviews, it's hard for people to catch up because we're doing 10 a day, 10 a day, 10 a day. We've got thousands of them now. It's not like you can just duplicate 3,000 to 4,000 5 to 6 minute reviews. So I find the reviews to be an unbelievably powerful medium for helping the consumer buy on your website, helping the consumer learn when they want to learn before they even get to your website. And it's been an interesting journey learning about video in the last 3.5 years.
Right. Yeah, I think the long tail of video is much more valuable than even the immediate, like the recording of it. So
Correct.
It just keeps living on, and that's like really that's why I think the smartest companies create original content which lives on, which is video is a really good part of it. So now the studio that you mentioned is in the Philadelphia location, right?
Yes, so I decided to do a test and stick it on the third floor of the Philadelphia building where we sell watches. I did that because I look at retail today as education. It's education and it's entertainment. So when a client comes in now, where they're already educated. So it's a continual education when they walk into your store. Many times they know more about the product that they're looking for than your own sales associates. But as the sales associates walk them around, sometimes they take them up to the studio and they take a picture on the set. The customer really engages because it's more than they're expecting to walk into a store and then find themselves getting a picture of them taken on a set of a whole, of a studio. It would be like going to CNN and you're looking around and all of a sudden you're behind the set.
Right.
And we've done interviews with clients, seminars with clients. We try to make the store an entertainment place, an education place, and also a place that we can get data from clients that come in so that in the future, even if they don't buy that day in the store, they can always call us or come to our website and click and buy if they'd like to. But that's how I look at, what the future of the actual retail store should be today.
Okay. Now I'm looking at the website right now. Are you planning on actually adding, or do you list or link to YouTube videos on specific watches that are for sale on the website? Let's say you've done a review on YouTube on a watch, and it's for
Yes. So
sale.
if you go to one of our offerings that has a video, you'll see the box for that review on the offering.
Okay, so I'm looking at a nice double tourbillon, which doesn't have one. I'm assuming that one doesn't have.
That just wouldn't
Yeah.
happen.
Okay, that's a good one to do a review on, I
Yeah,
think.
absolutely.
The Grubel Forsey. So,
There
so
might be, but there are a lot that have it.
right. Okay. No, so that's really actually really it's very smart because all the information should really be at one place, and we should not send people to different places if they're looking at a product already. It all should come into that this is the central place, the product detail page. So
Yes, from our YouTube channel, it does connect you in.
okay. All right. So now, what about payment? You're talking about a global company that goes beyond borders, and payment is a pretty complicated one across every border. And of course, now with cryptocurrencies, things are in pretty major shifts happening. Have you looked into anything about like the cryptocurrency options? Do you accept any cryptocurrencies or planning on
So
it or?
I'll tell you what, we accept cryptocurrencies. We accept Bitcoin. We do it through third parties that we work with, so that they actually convert the crypto, the Bitcoin into money, and then we get the money from them.
Okay.
So we're not.
You're not doing it yourself. You're not buying.
Yes, it's sort of like the reason we take it is, number one, we're learning, because no different than 15 years ago or 17 years ago, I started to take PayPal when it first came out. And people said, why are you taking PayPal? Nobody knows what PayPal is. And today, many institutions take PayPal. Even for, $100,000, you can take a PayPal payment. So I believe crypto today is very, very small as far as transactions taking place in the United States, particularly for high-priced items. But I do think that 5 years from now, or 3 years from now, or even 2 years from now, blockchain transactions using cryptocurrency, I think, will be a lot more prevalent. And as long as we're taking it now, it gives us the opportunity to learn from the beginning.
Right. Well, the problem right now with purchasing anything with crypto is that it's like purchasing with gold or an investment because the price is so volatile on both ends. You don't know if really you're doing the right thing to let go of your cryptocurrency that could double in a month.
Yeah, what you're finding is, though, you got to keep in mind, if you go back 1 year to March, so just 1 year ago March, or around 1 year ago March, Bitcoin was trading at around $1,300. Then it went to 20,000 or 19,000, and today it's somewhere around 8,000. So you've got a lot of people that have tremendous, tremendous gains already, because anybody that's been playing in the crypto market from 1 year and back have done very well. So for us, the people that are buying from us with cryptocurrency, we already know who they are. They're not people that are looking for secrecy. We don't even accept payments if we don't know who the client is. Like, our motto is we have to know the client. We don't take a wire from a client if we don't know who they are. So it's the type of thing that, people have gains in cryptocurrency and they want it's just a form of payment. But it's so rare. We're lucky if we do 1 or 2 payments at this point a month.
Right.
So, but what you do get to learn is you get to learn how the currencies work. You get to learn how you're going to take the payment in the future. You're on the ground floor of the learning. And if in 2 years from now it becomes popular, you're not chasing it to then learn. You've already learned.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely I like the way that you, as the CEO, really, believe in technology, different parts of it, and you're not afraid of it. That's the biggest problem I see in a lot of established businesses where the leadership is afraid of technology instead of being open to it, at least testing it, being having the excitement that this could actually help me instead of just writing it off.
I'll tell you what some of the problem is, why that is. Okay, I'm 57, and I think a little bit differently. But most of the time, as you're in your 30s and as you're in your 40s and 50s and you're growing your career, you're supposed to have the experience. And the kids in their 20s and in their 25 and 28, they're supposed to be learning from the guys in their upper 40s and young 50s, because that's where they're gaining their experience. Today, it's the kids that are in their 20s and 25 to 30. They have the experience, and they have to teach the guys that are now 55. So there's an entire trust game that has to switch. You've got to be able to say, the guy that always had the experience now has to learn from people that used to gain experience from you. If you can make that switch, it's amazing what they can teach you.
Right, right. And that's a fundamental thing, especially in technology, because if you look at the
Especially,
other things about like business, okay, buying and selling, the margins and things like that, they don't change that much. The more experience you have in that, the better you are. But technology is changing so
yes,
fast, you have to be open. Yeah.
yes. But for us, if you think about it, my advice to a lot of businessmen would be, what does your customer want? Just come back to your customer. Your customer wants to be able to learn when he wants to learn. Your customer wants to be able to buy when they want to buy. Your customer wants to talk to somebody. If they want to talk to somebody, they'd like to talk to somebody that has some knowledge and not be, placed on hold 13 times to get to somebody who doesn't even know what they're talking about. And then if they do come in the store, they'd like to be entertained. They're driving into a store now. They're giving up their time. Right. So if you come back to our business specifically, how do we make the buying and the selling and the trading of a luxury timepiece, enjoyable to our customer, for what our customer wants and the services that our customer wants. And as long as we always come back to that, then we've done our job.
Right. Yeah, my special pet peeve is when you go through a phone system and you go through like 3 or 4 different steps and you talk to people, they ask you the same questions over and over again. It's just like so frustrating.
It's not even that. You call a department store and and then they connect you to a department that sometimes rings and nobody answers. And if they do answer, then they got to go look it up somewhere. I mean, the process
Right.
is painful.
Right.
And that's why e-commerce doesn't really like brick and mortar. And brick and mortar doesn't like e-commerce too much. And that's where the omni-channel solutions are being developed today. But the biggest issue between e-commerce today and brick and mortar is the human capital. Because I'm going to call them kids between 20 and 25. You go to college today and you go to NYU and you graduate and you happen to love sneakers. So you decide to go to the mall and work in a sneaker store. And your parents look at you and they say, I didn't send you to NYU for $70,000 a year for you to be at the mall working in a sneaker store, even though you like sneakers. But if the same kid graduated NYU and said, Mom, I'm working for this company, sneakers.com in New York. We sit behind screens all day, but it's so young. It's so technology, and they gave me some options. All of a sudden, Mom says, I'm so proud of you. My son is working for an e-commerce company.
Yeah, e-commerce is cool. Well, it's hard to ignore the market capitalizations of some of the e-commerce companies and how things are going. So now let me ask you this: what are your plans as far as like the future? I know you just hired a new CTO, or what I read, and you've got like $100 million in funding. How are you going to use that to actually make this process even better?
Okay, number one, we're going to open globally. So within a year, I believe, we'll have most of the major markets in the world covered. That way, people from all over the world can sell their watches to us, and we'll post the watches on a global platform. Also, it'll give our studios the opportunity to entertain from Switzerland, from the Middle East, from Hong Kong, from the United States, from South Africa, so that even the collectors of fine timepieces, or the collectors of luxury, will be able to see different interviews and different learning from all parts of the world on the subject matter. And then our app, as our app gains in traction and our app gains in popularity, that too will be a communication tool that will be able to contact clients from all over the world with different suggestions and different offerings as more and more people adopt our app platform for their own watch collections. So as far as then local expansion, we'll be able to go into any city in the United States and open up a small pod or a partnership with a retailer in that market and immediately drive clients to those locations.
Right. And I think from what you mentioned before, the concept that you have is almost like a Warby Parker or like a Tesla store where you go in and you see the products, but you may not be able to
Yes.
pick up everything right there.
So if you think about it, if you go to the mall, you can't buy a Tesla. You can only, for the most part, you look at one car. And then a sales associate, if you want to purchase the car, takes you through the purchasing process. It's the same website as if you want to do it from your house. The reason that people go to the Tesla store is because they want somebody there to actually walk them through the process. But many people buy the car and learn about the car from the comfort of their own home. So the Tesla store at the mall is really an education center as much as it is a Tesla store.
Right. An experience. Right. Just okay. So one more question is a part of I'm I guess wondering, a part of what you're going to be doing is to go to trade shows as far as like building the business internally from the inside the industry. Is that also part of the plan?
Well, I already keep in mind we're one of the top sellers of new watches in the United States. So WatchBox is the pre-owned part of the business. So my real goal someday would be to team up with other retailers in different parts of the world, or team up with brands specifically, and offer a global one-stop shop where customers and clients can buy, sell, and trade their timepiece. And they can buy a new timepiece or a pre-owned timepiece anywhere in the world that our businesses are located.
So are you talking about sort of like a almost like a technology offering to other
Yes,
retailers?
yes. And we're already in talks with other retailers. We're in talks with major brands. Because don't forget, major brands, in my opinion, when I mean major brands, brands like Omega and brands like Breitling, that you see their stores all over the world. Within a number of years, those stores are going to take trade-ins. Just like all the Mercedes dealerships in the world take trade-ins of Lexuses now. 20 years ago, or 25 years ago, Mercedes wouldn't take your Lexus in trade. Today they do. But there's institutions that power those trades. Because let's face it, the Mercedes dealer is not keeping the Lexus.
Right.
There's somebody that's behind that transaction, that's powering that transaction. And I believe that WatchBox will be in partners with many, many brands and many, many retailers to help power their trading programs.
Yeah, I think that's a really good feature because the liquidity of the asset that you're holding adds to the fact that you're going to buy more of it.
Right, we're monetizing pre-owned timepieces and making it an asset class.
Right.
Where your timepiece at any time, as our technology grows and our app technology and our pricing technology gets better, my real goal in the near term, when I mean near term, one year to 24 months out, would be that you can enter your timepiece into our app and it'll tell you exactly what it's worth and what we'll pay you for it.
Yes, that's powerful. That would be powerful. I know as I have a very small, insignificant collection of vintage watches, and I know that it's like all over the place. You go to try to find a price, and you go to eBay and here and there, and it's just so difficult to find a good I mean, like even a range. So
correct. And what we're able to do is if somebody has a timepiece that's nice, in a matter of minutes, they can just pick the phone up and call us if they want. And one of our guys is going to tell them within minutes what they're willing to pay them for the watch.
And to be able to do that without forcing the customer to come to your store is really the key.
Yeah, and our app is also very transparent.
Yeah.
You can go on our app today, type in your watch model and or a description, and you'll see a little picture of it, and it'll actually tell you a range of what that watch is selling for, not what we'll purchase it for, but what it's actually selling for pre-owned.
Right.
So that it gives you a good understanding of if you wanted to buy one pre-owned, what you can buy one for.
I think that's a really good feature. That's a really good feature. So, Danny, I have like a million other questions for you. This is a very fascinating conversation. Just because in 2007 I created a company called Ion Jewels. We went to the JCK show, won Best in Show in the tech, and we were using live video from the store. It was the first company that ever did that. So this was for jewelry stores. We do things like we have brands on Twitter right now, like Watch News and Jewelry News, that we still, are have customers. So this is like really close to me, and I am so excited that I see you pushing the envelope. The industry needs people like you more than anything else right now because the big players are taking all the business, and we need local businesses, people that are actually making connections with the customers in a different way to really
Yeah.
step up.
But what I think you have to think about though when you're a local business, that over time, your local business, a little bit out of a time, is eroding to e-commerce, or it's eroding because the reason that people used to come to the store so much was to get educated. If they don't need to come to the store to get educated and they can just go online to get educated, a lot of times your foot traffic is down only because you're not in the position to educate the client because they don't want to take the time to come and get educated. They want to get educated in their own house. But if you were able to develop what I call your number one stroke, so if you're a business, what are you the best at? Or if you look in the mirror and you say, this is what I'm actually the best at. Okay, how do you then take that national? Maybe not global, but with a little advertising and a little bit of YouTube and a little bit of video and a little bit of Instagram and a little bit of phone call, how do you take what you do the best national? And that will offset and sometimes even outpace what you're losing locally because the person isn't necessarily coming in your store anymore. So you got to think outside of local. You don't have to think global, but you have to think national. And if you're thinking national, never forget you have to still think local. And I think if businesses could start to wake up that media has never been cheaper. You can advertise to the world on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. You can almost advertise to the world for free. I mean, where else in the world can you advertise for free to the whole world? You just got to get people to watch.
Well, it's not really free. You still have to build the content, right? But you're not paying the delivery mechanism.
Yes.
Right.
But what I meant is you could take a picture today on Instagram.
Right.
And, 3,000 people, if they're following you, like it. And it's like, wow, 3,000 people took the time to click it.
Yeah. I mean, it's very powerful. So one thing that I like the way that you put it on, between going local to global. My point is that e-commerce is not a bad thing for local businesses. It's actually part of the business. It's what the customers want. But if you're, let's say, for example, you're in Philadelphia, and I think you're in like a suburb of Philadelphia, the maximum number of people that can actually drive to your store, even if there was no e-commerce, is a very limited number of all the people that live within a 25 or 50-mile radius of your store. There's millions of people that actually live in that area. They're never going to be able to come to your store. So e-commerce or some form of e-commerce actually expands even on a local level so much without even having to go even nationally.
Well, because even on a local level, and it's helped our local business because people get to educate. And by the way, they still get to call you. What's nice is they still call. So you're right. E-commerce, personal commerce, learning commerce, it all drives what I call brick and mortar personal touch.